going. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Baseline Podcast. I'm Ben, that's Josh, and I don't sound like I'm dying anymore. I mean, it still sounds stuffed up, but like I was like dying last week. I thought I was going to die, but no, well, I'm back. I think pretty much healthy. Josh is here. We've kind of been talking about, it is football season, um, but there's a lot of other things going on in the world and in life. Um, but before we kind of talk about our normal intro, I do want to say when this goes out will probably be Friday or Saturday. So obviously things can change, but our prayers do go out to the Charlie Kirk's family. As we're recording this, right? Because we're on Wednesday, right? So
Wednesday
yeah.
just happened a couple hours ago.
So as we're recording this, everything kind of went down. So again, prayers out to his family and everyone in the situation. Um, don't know what the answer is, but obviously God knows in that sense. But anyways, Josh, how are you doing? How was your weekend? I know you had an interesting house story that I don't think many people would expect in owning a house.
Yeah, I guess I've had my first quote unquote theft. Trash pickups on Monday.
The trash burglar.
Set it out Sunday night to get picked up, and when I got up the next day on Monday, can was no longer there. So I
The
got a
trash
call that
burglar.
it wasn't a can I owned, it was one that I guess you rent from the company. Cyclone comes and gets my trash, so I got to call them and see about getting another one or filing a report. I don't really know how it works. This is the first time for everything. But of all the things to steal, yeah, just trash can was one that I did not see coming.
Like they could have stole like a rock or something from your yard, but they stole a trash can.
Yes.
It's just wild. That is wild. No, I get it. I had a wild weekend too because I was dealing with we had to make cuts and stuff for our national team. We have a national team game coming up. If anyone wants to watch on YouTube, I'm sure I'll share it on our page. But we play Great Britain actually, Josh. Great Britain this weekend. So it's Hungary versus Great Britain, U19 national team. So they have like three dudes that are like 320 pounds each. So you know, just a normal size humans. But yeah, it'll be fun. So I'm excited for that. But you know what I was not excited for, Josh, was the hope that the Browns would win a game, but not even that, just play great defense like they did, would win a game. But you know what happens? You know what happens when you cut a kicker that was very successful for you a few years ago is that you end up with a kicker who can't even kick a short field goal or an extra point. So, Josh, I'm going to just leave it there. I'm going to let you explain because I'm going to boil if I keep thinking about this horror that happened on Sunday.
Certainly the fashion that Cleveland lost in on Sunday is not one that Cleveland Browns fans are unfamiliar with. It happened quite a bit post Phil Dawson, and then you thought you had one with Hopkins there, but yeah, I don't even know who this guy is. I can't even say his name.
He's wearing number 25 for crying out loud. It's
Yeah, that's
ridiculous.
another thing. Like you're not even wearing like the kicker number. It's like a defensive lineman wearing a single digit. Like, no, you can't do that. It looks goofy. But we said last week that if there was a game that could maybe give Cleveland Browns fans false hope that they win, it's this one because Cincinnati and Joe Burrow are always terrible against us,
It's
and
true.
Cincinnati in general is
They
just
were
really bad those
they were
first
also really
four or
bad.
five games of the season. And
We
that was
were
the case,
bad.
Ben. That was the case for Joe Burrow. He looked well below average. He had, I think, 113 yards in this game. He wasn't even sacked until like the last half of the fourth quarter. So it's not even something that Bengals fans can be like, "Ugh, offensive line." It's like, no, it wasn't. Joe Burrow was just that bad. Jamar Chase,
Also, thank you, Joe Burrow, because you made my fantasy league. I won that week this week because of you. Thank
Jamar
you.
Chase was locked up on two catches for 26 yards. T. Higgins, three catches for 33 yards to lead the team. And we held them to 2 yards of carry, rushing the ball, just 46
They had
total yards
7 yards
there.
in the second half, by the way. They had
hmm
7 yards.
If you
That is
want, I guess, any
wild.
optimism for maybe a couple spoiler wins that we could get this year or what next year could look like, the defense did look pretty freaking good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Offensively, we doubled them up on first downs, 22 to 11. Uh, Third downs, Cincinnati did get 7 of 14, which is crazy. We got 9 of 16 on our end, but outgained them 327 to 141. Uh, I guess the main difference was the two turnovers. that we had and the kicking game because if we make that at least that extra point on that Cedric Tillman
It's
touchdown,
overtime.
we're at least 17-17 and going to overtime at least. But we missed the field goal that could have given us the lead. Have the interception at the end while we're trying to make a game-winning drive happen. But yeah, just like I said, if there's anything you want to point to as promising, I would say it's the defense in
And,
this one with how
and
we handled the Bengals. And I really liked what we saw from our receivers. Harold Fannin comes out with
the two
seven
rookies,
catches,
I think
63
both
yards.
rookies, both
Dylan
rookies.
Sampson, our second leading receiver. Yeah, eight
Yeah.
catches caught, all eight targets for 64 yards there out of the backfield. Judy had five catches for 66 yards himself, and Tillman had 52 yards receiving and a touchdown, like we
It's the one
said.
thing that we
So
doubted, man. Is the one thing we doubted, but I also think too that shows the reason why they cut Johnson the way they did at the end of the preseason. It was like, look, we know what we got, but also, you know what's scary though, Josh, if you think about it, is that Judkins is going to be back on this roster. You're going to have him and Sampson in the backfield. I think Jerome Ford might have just worked his way to. He might not. He might be that third string guy because I don't know how you don't play Judkins and I don't know how you don't play Sampson. I think you're going to play both these guys, and those two I think are a lot better than Ford just by himself.
just the workload. It looks like they prefer Sampson right now.
Yeah,
We're going to have to get better at running the ball because we ourselves only had 49 yards on the ground, 2 yards a carry too.
yeah,
But yeah, when Judkins gets back, that's going to be definitely a nice boost. But it looks like Sampson is the preferred back right now.
yeah. No, but I think either way though, I think look, Flacco didn't look great, but he also didn't look absolutely atrocious. I just think look, you're going to get what you get with a 40-year-old quarterback. Um,
Yep.
I,
We
I,
said
I
we weren't going to win many games this year. Like winning
no,
is definitely not the
yeah.
priority here.
So look, I I don't. I don't understand like the decisions of like the kicking game. Like I thought, why are we going with this guy that I've never really had any stints in the NFL? Like why are we doing this where again, I just sometimes the Browns just make these decisions. It's like they're so close to making perfect decisions and then they have to just ruin one to just like keep on the pace because I just when the defense plays that well and you hold a very high powered offense to basically nothing, if you think about
A
it.
team that themselves doesn't have a good
Yeah.
defense.
And so that's the thing that just drives me nuts is like,
Yeah.
also, it's not even, it was like a 45 or 50 yarder. It was a 39-yard kick. You're in the NFL. You've got to be able to make those kicks in order to win these games.
Yeah. So we'll see, I guess, what the season brings. We'll get into the week two matchup here in a little bit, but just browsing through the rest of week one action, Ben, what else was standing out to you or
Uh,
exciting or a
I think it was
surprise?
just, I think kind of how the Vikings played really well. I think the Bears, Bears just choked like normal. But I think the thing that really stuck out to me was a lot of the young guys played really well, like just around the league. A lot of the rookies played really well. Mecca Ibuka had some big catches. I'm trying to think of other things, but also the other thing that stood out to me, I think, is that is it just me or does it feel like there's maybe a little more parity in the league this year? I don't know if there's one dominant team right now in the NFL. I feel like it's pretty. It's there's no like blowouts. I feel like it's pretty even across the board right now.
Hmm. Uh, I mean, there was, I guess, the Colts looked pretty dominant,
They did,
but Daniel Jones scored on every single offensive drive. No quarterback this century has done that, and I, of
yeah.
course, don't expect that to continue to be the case. But I think that's more so how bad the Miami Dolphins could be this year. And then just, I guess, looking around elsewhere,
Or the Ravens blowing a game again.
that was crazy. Derrick Henry almost never fumbles. They had a 15-point lead with like 3.5 minutes left,
Yeah.
and Buffalo just cruised there. Detroit's offense looked pretty bad, I'll say, against Green
Do
Bay.
do you feel like then that was a
That one was probably the only real, besides the Colts and Dolphins, the only real manhandling that happened, I thought.
but do you think that the reason that Detroit struggles is because Ben is gone, or do you think it's because they just have a little bit of different personnel than they did last year?
Yeah, we'll find out. I mean, going to Ben, who's on Chicago now, Caleb Williams looked really good in that first half, and then just total changing of momentum there. JJ McCarthy puts up three total touchdowns himself
Can that guy
in
just
that fourth
lose,
quarter, and
please? I'm
Minnesota
tired of hearing
wins.
people win. Ugh, just
He's
lose.
lost, I think, three games in his high school, college, and NFL career now, but Obviously, the NFL's hard, and he's going to have some losses. But that was, I thought, a really solid start. A game that he could have checked out of because he had that pick six that he threw,
Yeah.
and it's just like, man, you're going into the fourth, you're down, like two scores, kept his composure,
Can we also talk
led
about
to a
that?
victory.
Can we also talk about their head coach, the Vikings, that told the guy to run it out?
Yeah, everybody's
McConnell.
talking about
No,
that
because it
play.
it's very fascinating because as a coach, we've actually talked about this before. Like when there was a 2 minute warning, they didn't have 2 minute warnings in Hungary, but we've talked about those kind of situations where like your players are looking at you for that one piece of guidance, and like that changed. I mean, that didn't change the game, but it's like that could have given them an extra time to
It
figure out
took
what to
away
do.
an extra timeout.
Yeah.
Yep, from the 2 minute warning. Yep. So, yeah, Minnesota goes out and wins there. But moving on to the week two matchup that Cleveland has, it's
Oh
at
boy.
Baltimore.
Yep.
We
Loss.
don't usually, yeah, we don't
Loss.
usually do too well against Lamar Jackson. I've
No.
seen a lot of really good
This
Lamar Jackson
this is gonna
performances, and he
be
had a really good one against Buffalo too. It's
yeah.
just that the last few minutes of that, Buffalo just totally went on a run there. But
This
yeah,
is
this
gonna
is probably
be
going to be ugly.
I put it down actually today I was talking with somebody at school and I predicted that well I need fantasy to go a little well because I have a few Browns on the team but um I think my score was I think 31-14 uh Ravens and as much as I love the defense of the Browns and I think their defense is really good I don't know if they have the power to stop Lamar Jackson, to start Derrick Henry, and to stop Mark Andrews and everything else in between. I don't know if they do. Now, maybe the 31's a little high, but again, I still think that just the Browns have just never done well against the Ravens in the last few years. And I don't know if after this kind of heartbreak of an opening week loss, I don't know how they're going to bounce back. And that's the thing I'm worried about.
Yeah, from getting, I guess, shut down by Cincinnati's offense. I mean, Buffalo or Bu not Buffalo, Baltimore's defense against Buffalo didn't look all that great either, but obviously a lot more weapons over there. Baltimore is actually a 11 and a half point favorite. It's the widest margin of victory Vegas is predicting right now. Just to
Phew.
throw that number out there for you. 11 and a half is crazy in the NFL in general, but I'm going to say that our defense is going to get a few stops in this one.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say Baltimore is going to score over 30. I'll put them at 29, like right underneath that, but I don't think we're going to get any more than 10. So I'll say they
Yeah.
cover that, 29 to 10.
It's just like, look, I'll be honest with you, everyone that's watching this show, you're going to hear this a lot this year. I'm just going to be frank
There's
with
not
you
going to
that
be a lot
there's
of
not going to be
predicted
like
wins. Yeah.
predicted wins, very hyped. This, and my dad's going to say that we don't aren't believers. That's what he said about us when we said pick Texas over Ohio State. I'm sorry, Dad.
We still
You
thought
could,
Ohio State was a top five team in the
yeah,
nation, though.
yeah. We don't think Browns are a top five team now. They might
Yeah.
not. They might not even a bottom two. It's just,
Hmm.
it's just sad, man.
Yeah.
It's just
We
sad.
went on an interesting run a couple years ago with picking Browns games. We almost
We
always
did
seem to differ, and you always seem to be right, and I always seem to be wrong.
this year. We're just depressed.
Yeah. Uh, College football picks, I did do much better than you did
Yes, I
this
did
past
awful.
weekend.
I was sick. That's what I'm going to blame it on. I was
It was
sick.
sick. Okay. Well, we'll start with the one that you got right in the big game that we all cared about. That was Oklahoma and Michigan. Just summing that one up. I thought Oklahoma, they came out and got the win like they were supposed to on paper, right?
Dominated.
You got
Dominated.
Michigan coming in with a true freshman quarterback, although talented. I thought Underwood looked like a freshman in the game. I thought he made some nice throws. Michigan's going to have, a really good quarterback here in a few years, I think. He made some nice throws there, but for the most part looked like a freshman. They're going to need to get him some weapons down the road too.
Dude, that's
But I
the other
thought
thing. They have no weapons on that team for him.
yeah. So if they're going to spend, $10 million on a quarterback, they got to spend maybe 5 million on receivers, at least something down the
Yeah.
road. But I thought Oklahoma did a good job limiting the run game. Justice Haynes did have that 75-yard run that put him over 100 yards, but besides that, there wasn't really a ton there. Michigan seemed dedicated to the run,
Yeah.
and Oklahoma was able to stop it. But the other thing, I guess, going forward with Oklahoma is there was some self-inflicted wounds there too that Michigan just wasn't good enough to overcome and take advantage of. But Mateer looked good. You could probably sell me on a. We'll get more into Mateer discussion later, but I think I'm believing in John Mateer At least just him. This Oklahoma team needs to answer some more questions for me, but I'm a John Mateer believer, Ben. He's won me over these first 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah. I look. I think Michigan looked rough, man. Like this might be a worse Michigan team than last year. Like I think just with talent. Um, and they won what, 7 games last year, 8 games,
They
whatever it
won eight
was.
games last year without any functioning
Yeah.
quarterback at all. I think this year that they have a functioning
But they have
quarterback.
less but they have less everything else. That's the problem. I feel like they have less everything else. And so look, I think Michigan needs to kind of figure out what they want to do identity wise because Underwood did not look comfortable throwing the ball. And that was against a decent defense, a pretty good defense. What's he going to do when he's facing these Big Ten defenses week after week? You know, it's like Nico. Like I feel like Nico's decision to go to UCLA was terrible, and it's kind of proven that he can't stay upright. And I think the same thing with Underwood. Like, dude, when you complete that few of passes, I just wonder what you do. Now you have a very capable backup who started a lot of games at Fresno State. Is there a chance that at some point you decide to like let Underwood just watch for a few weeks? I don't think so, but like when they play Ohio State and when they play some of these other teams, like do you think Matt Patricia is just going to like sit there and like not disguise anything? Matt Patricia is going to make Underwood if like what he did to Arch Manning, he's probably going to do double to
Probably
Bryce
could do to
Underwood.
Bryce. That'll be, of
So
course, the last game of the season, but Bryce is still going to be a freshman.
yeah, so that's kind of what my takes.
Going to Iowa State and Iowa, I was so close to this one. I remember I said 17-12 would be the final, and it was 16-13. I just was a
Look at
couple
you.
points off here. But yeah, I was like, it's going to be an ugly game offensively, and it was. Total yards, Iowa State had 238. Iowa had 214. Of course, Iowa only had 83 yards passing through the air. They really
Of
thought they
course.
had a guy with Mark Gronowski, and he hasn't reached 100 yards in any of these games. It's just something about Iowa, Ben. They do this to any
It's like you
quarterback that they
enter
get.
it's like you enter that locker room and like all of your arm juice just gets sucked out of you. It's like it just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, just an example, Cade McNamara went to a playoff game with Michigan. He went to Iowa, and yeah, I think he's at like East Tennessee State or something like that now. I seen over the weekend against one of these teams, and he didn't even get 100 yards in that one either. Still playing football, which is crazy, 6 years in. But yeah, Iowa just does something to its quarterbacks, man. Uh, Much more exciting offensively, though, uh,
S-
was the Baylor game with
SMU,
SMU. Yeah.
dude, Baylor looked really good. Baylor
Good
looked
bounce
really
back.
good.
They had lost a tough one to I think an Auburn team that's going to be better than what most people think. But yeah, double overtime thriller over here, 48-45. Baylor gets it done. Sawyer Robertson steps up here with 440 yards, 4 touchdowns. Still has not thrown an interception this season. And I mean Kevin Jennings for the most part was able to match his pace. He had 295 through the air and 3 touchdowns himself too. Uh, but yeah, Baylor just comes out, gets a couple extra opportunities late with an overtime and pulls this one off. Say one other thing here. Yeah, Baylor just 32 first downs to SMU's 23, 601 total yards to SMU's 458. Uh, Running wise, they were both in the 160s and averaged 3.7 yards a carry. But yeah, just Robertson was the better quarterback in this one, bottom line.
Yeah, and I think look, Baylor's got to get back to those, RG3 days, if they want to be competing where they're talented all over the field and I think we're getting there with Baylor. Look, I like the Baylor team. I think SMU is also really good. Also, SMU has some beautiful jerseys, by the way. That blue and red, and
The uniform's so cool. Yeah.
dude, and even Baylor. Like, I love the Baylor, like black, gold, green. Like, it's just both those uniforms, by the way, top tiers. Um, I think the difference is that I feel like Baylor just seems like they're kind of figuring it out offensively, but also how do they finish the games, and I think that's the big difference.
Did have a couple upsets over the weekend too, and I think we got to start with my Florida Gators choking at home to South Florida. Yeah, just it wasn't
They
pretty.
really
I
was it a chomp with no teeth? Is that what they were doing? Like the grandma chomp?
The grandma shark. Yep,
Yeah.
that's what we are right now. Uh, DJ Lagway,
Fire him.
one touchdown in this one. Yeah,
Fire
they're
him.
Florida has been the most patient with Billy Napier. I think he is 40 games in now, and he is 20-20, which is a worse start than what Dan Mullen had, a worse start than what Jim McElwain had, a worse start than what Will Muschamp had. And I think Florida's been patient, Ben, because of how well he's recruited there in comparison to some of those guys. But just with how brutal the schedule's been, I think they've been a little more patient, but you can't lose to South Florida. This is supposed to be one of those easy wins. And looking further ahead now, you got to go at LSU this weekend. You got to go. They got another one. You got to go at Miami the week after that, and then you got to host Texas after that. All top 10 teams at the moment. Oh, and by the way, you got to play Texas A&M later down the road. You got to play Georgia down the road. You got to play Tennessee down the road, and Florida State. Tennessee and Florida State just both scored 70 pieces this weekend. A schedule that looked like it was going to be a little easier to start the year off than what they have been looks like it's going to be just as hard. Florida, I don't know. I'm not, I've just had all the hopes and dreams sucked out of me in 1 week, Ben.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that is crazy. We'll pause there real quick because Josh, I just got a notification on my phone. Charlie Kirk has died. Um, uh,
That's confirmed.
yeah, multiple people have shared it. Um, uh, wow. Um, I
Yeah, that's one. It's like, I don't know what to,
um
that's, it
yeah.
sucks.
Uh and I know for some maybe it doesn't mean a lot. And I know this is a sports show, but however you felt about him, I think there was some good of what he did. Um but you know, some might say take away guns, but I think it's more than that. It's the heart that we need to change. And I think um yeah, I pray for his family. I can't imagine just that. I mean, he has two little kids. I believe one girl is 4, and I believe his boy just turned 1.
They're young kids,
Uh,
yeah.
um, I just there's no words. So we'll continue this podcast, but it definitely kind of caught me off guard. I don't know if you have any thoughts because I'm kind of speechless. I don't really know what to
Yeah,
say.
I know the guy that they initially thought did it, they let go. It wasn't him, but I hope that they do find the guy and that justice ends up getting served here.
I mean, I feel like the news the last 2 days has been about a girl that was brutally murdered on a train, and now Charlie Kirk.
Hmm.
Um, just shows that the world needs Jesus more than ever, you know. And yeah. Hmm. Anyways, we'll try to get back on track
Yeah,
at this rate. But going back to Florida, what first off, you see USF, by the way. Dude, they're becoming like this little miniature team in Florida that's like I think better than not better than Miami, but they're playing just
they
as
have the best resume. They got
yeah,
2 ranked wins now. They
they're
beat Boise
playing
State week
better,
1 pretty easily, and they beat Florida week 2.
probably playing better than Florida State. They're probably playing. I
Well,
mean,
I don't
Florida
know if many people are playing better than Florida
that's
State, but
true. But what I'm saying
resume
is though,
wise, it's better than Florida State.
let's just say this: Florida might be the fourth or fifth best team in Florida right now. Just gonna let you know that. Like
I mean,
it.
you're not gonna get an argument out of me that they're better than
So
Miami or Florida
do you,
State, and
do
South
you
Florida just
think?
got us.
Do you think like is this the end? If this season goes the way that it's going right now,
Man, I mean, like I said, they really could be 1-4 to start the year.
like if they go 1-4,
With playoff
does
aspirations, they could be 1-4 to start
does
the year.
does he last the season if they're one and
He
four?
almost didn't survive last season, and DJ Lagway saved him, I think, at least, or bought him some more time to come into this season and the momentum that they brought in, be like, okay, let's ride this out and see what happens. But yeah, since it was so close last year, I don't anticipate it's going to be. And then Yeah, that Texas A&M game's on the road after the Texas one too. So we'll see how well Marcel Reed and those guys end up being, but it could be even 1-5 to start the year.
Yeah,
And at that point, it's like the best you can do is 7-5. That's unacceptable at Florida. You got to go.
yeah. It's kind of like the thing of like if you were at Duke or North Carolina and you struggle in basketball, like it's just there's just a point.
Yeah.
And I think that
I've seen
they're at
some
this
guys saying that the play calling is like too old time. Like you need to get with the times. You got to modernize. You got to adapt. And we're not really giving the guys, although we got a lot of talent, an opportunity to go out and, I guess, showcase that talent.
yeah. It is wild though, like how Florida just has all the talent in the world, and they just can't put it together, man.
Yeah.
It's just sad.
Yeah. Not good. And we also had ourselves a spitting incident too. So no discipline. A lot of
No
penalties.
discipline.
I think they had 11 flags in this game. Let me double check right now. Yeah, 11 flags for 103 yards. Unacceptable, dude. Terrible. 4-12 on third down. Terrible. This is your home field, by the way. The Swamp.
Yes, the swamp, which
Everybody
is not
talks
really
about
a
being a top
swamp. It's
10
it's more of a
stadium, home
it's more
field
of a
advantage this.
it's more of a mossy pit, not a swamp,
We'll talk about another team that got upset because that'll be a little more fun, and that was Arizona State. One
dude.
of those other teams that had, like Clemson, like Penn State, almost everybody coming back. They returned their entire coaching staff, the crazy high, aspirations to repeat as Big 12 winners and actually maybe win a playoff game this year. And they lose to Mississippi State, Ben. When you look at the box score over here, let me tell you something. If I told you, Ben, Arizona State outrushed Mississippi State 251 yards to 66 in this one. They had 23 first downs. Mississippi State had 17. Arizona State converted 2 of 3 fourth downs. Mississippi State failed to convert both of their attempts. How are you telling me this game goes?
Well, I don't say that Mississippi State wins.
Certainly not me.
No, I mean I
Certainly
just
not me. That's one that's like, yeah, you go through the box score. It's like, man, dude. Really, the only thing that you could maybe convince me on that they lost this game for is Sam Lovett, 10 of 22, 82 yards, a touchdown, 2 picks. Absolutely terrible performance
yeah.
by the returning starter over there.
No, they lost
At,
their one running back, and they end up playing the Udo who from Mich from I'm sorry from Army. Dude, they had a that whole. I mean, dude, that game was weird. Even Mississippi State, like, I'm sorry. I mean, if you're gonna lose to any SEC team, probably
yeah,
shouldn't be Mississippi
this is
State.
a good game, I guess, for the SEC crowd and to, I guess, get back at everybody's saying how the SEC didn't have a good weekend first off out of conference or how they don't do well out of conference. This is the Big 12's best against one of the worst SEC schools, and they got you.
Yeah, I
I'm not really in either camp. I think every game is different case by case, but this is a good one, I guess, for that SEC crowd to fire back, but not good for Arizona State
no, not at all,
in
not
this
at all.
one. It's really honestly all the teams that we thought would be good. You go through the power ranking. It's like I almost feel like with the data that I have just from this season, if you scrapped all of my like thoughts on the preseason and everything that I remembered happening last year, I might have 5 different teams in my top 5 power ranking,
Yeah,
which we can go ahead and get into that right now since that's kind of how
yeah,
week 1 went. My top 5, I'll go ahead and lead off.
okay.
I got Ohio State at 1 still.
They looked freaking
70
good.
piece on Grambling. Julian Sand missed 1 pass. Jeremiah Smith, I don't think dropped any passes this time
No,
around. And turns out Bo Jackson, the son of Lamar Jackson, could be the next great Buckeye running back. Who would have guessed that?
I know. And also the only incomplete he had was an interception, which is just the funny part.
Yeah. Uh, Number 2 over here, I got Penn State over here. They're unlike Clemson and unlike Texas, and I guess unlike Arizona State, they're taking care of business against the teams that they should still. I
A
still
little
think
slow
that,
start.
yeah. Not the perfect. 34 to nothing against FIU. You'd like to see maybe a little bit higher over there, but Drew Aller, two touchdowns through the air. Katron Allen and Nick Singleton, each a touchdown on the ground. They averaged 6.7 yards a carry as a team. Still liking what I'm seeing from the Nittany Lions. And now this is where it gets interesting, Ben. I put Miami at 3.
Hmm.
I love how they dominate the line of scrimmage against Notre Dame, a team that we really thought can dominate the line of scrimmage. And then against Bethune-Cookman, didn't fall off. Kept the train going. Mark Fletcher looks really good. It looks like they can beat you on the ground. Carson Beck's looking like a guy that maybe could win you some games through the air. Uh, they got a couple games coming up, like we said, South Florida this weekend. They got to play the Gators. We'll get to see them against, some, I hesitate to say high level competition, but some better teams than Bethune-Cookman nevertheless. But Miami looks pretty good to me right now. I got them at 3. Oregon, no signature win yet, but they just hung 69 on Oklahoma State. Dante Moore looks really good. They're scoring a lot. They're doing what Oregon basically should do. So I'm putting them at 4. And I still got LSU at 5, even though their win against Louisiana Tech was only 23 to 7. I'm still really liking what I'm seeing from the LSU defense, which we really haven't seen them have a defense like this in the Brian Kelly tenure. And if the defense can play like that, I'm going to believe that Garrett Nussmeier and the offense is going to eventually figure things out. Uh, so I got them at 5. And you could say like, well, why don't you have Texas there, Josh? It's because what I saw from Texas in their game still wasn't good. They looked really mediocre on
They
offense.
also played Art. They also played Arch till like the fourth quarter.
Arch had 4 touchdowns, yes, but just they still couldn't really get much going offensively in this one. Uh, I would like to see a little bit more there. And of course, LSU hasn't gotten a ton going offensively either, but I love what I'm seeing from the defense, which we don't usually see from the Tigers. So there's 3 teams that were there last week, but Oregon and Miami are new, and I dropped out Clemson, who was down 16 to nothing at one point this weekend. Embarrassing. And I dropped out Texas, but Texas and LSU is who I was debating between to put at 5. And I decided to roll with LSU for now.
Well, mine's pretty similar. I have Ohio State at 1. I have Penn State at 2. I believe last week, didn't you have Penn State at 1 last week?
I had Penn State at 1 to start the year, and then after Ohio State beat Texas, I was like,
Didn't I
got to
didn't
put them at.
change that. Then
Actually, you know what?
no, you
Maybe I
didn't.
did only bump them up 1.
Yes. You had
Yeah,
Penn
I did
State
only bump
first
them up
last.
1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had Penn State first last
So
week.
yeah, Ohio State, a new number 1 this week.
I had Ohio
They slowly
State.
moved up.
I had Ohio State number 1. Keep number 1. Hey, they looked really good. Patricia again, just doing a masterclass over there. Also, quarterbacks need to also the fact that they didn't guard or like defend Jeremiah Smith is hilarious. I don't know if you watched some of the catches he had. Like they just like forgot about him. I'm like, that's the one guy you should not forget about as he's running
Some of
past
the
you.
gaps between him and the nearest defender were just
And
crazy.
he wasn't outrunning them. He just was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll just catch it here. 2 was Penn State. Again, didn't look great offensively early on, but then I thought they kind of picked it up and kind of went with the flow. 3 for me is Miami as well. I really do like Miami. Um, I think Miami is one of those teams that I think it could be really sneaky. They're in a really easy conference, so I think they could be really good, really sneaky in the playoff as well. Now they might have to go play up in a. Hopefully they stay undefeated, so they don't have to play in a cold weather place, but we'll see. 4 for me is what do I have? Sorry, is LSU. Dude, I agree with you on the defense, man. I love LSU's defense right now, and they have some freaks on that defense. They have big corners, they have big safeties, they have big linebackers. Like just there's just a lot of freaks. And then at 5, I have Texas. So I leaving Texas in there. Again, doesn't look great, but I just feel like there's still a little bit of a stretch between them and some other teams for now. So I'm going to go Texas at 5.
All right. Heisman's. This is
Yeah.
another one that I was just like, I feel like I could scrap this and put 5 new guys in here, but I'm still holding out that some of these guys are going to eventually start breaking
Yeah.
out and playing how they should. So, without further ado, Garrett Nussmeier's at number 1. Still am looking for that 300-yard multi-touchdown
So a
performance
new
from
number 1
him.
for you.
A new number one, yes. Lenore Sellers, who was number one last week, is at two now. Uh,
Struggled a little
had a
bit.
touchdown through the air and on the ground again, but uh, I don't know, man. We'll get into that a little bit more later in the pod, but yeah, Sellers, I'm gonna have to start seeing a little bit more, and it could be his offensive line that's gonna cost him eventually, but it might just be him too. I don't know. We'll see. Jeremiah Smith's at three. Uh, I know it was Grambling, but again, looked more like Jeremiah Smith in this game, and I think we're gonna see, the Jeremiah Smith we're used to seeing that dominated the country as a freshman going forward. But newcomers to this poll or to this ballot are Sawyer Robertson. Like I said, I think he's top five in the nation in passing yards right now. He's got seven touchdowns and he hasn't thrown an interception yet. And he's played against Auburn and he's played against SMU. That's a really good first, 1-2 punch to start the year. It's quality opponents. Got to show some respect to him. And then, like I said earlier, I'm a John Mateer believer now. I got him at five over here. He's doing work on the ground and through the air too. Uh, I'm looking forward, I guess, seeing that play out against his SEC opponents that are going to be coming out. But really, I was skeptical of the hype around John Mateer being from Washington State with his offensive coordinator coming in over here. I was like, I don't know, man. I mean, I saw Cam Ward ball out over there. I believed in him when he went to Miami. I figured he
Yeah.
was going to do some work over there, but the odds of Washington State basically just being a quarterback factory for these big schools and having another one, plus the numbers and stuff just wasn't all as flashy as Cam was. So I was just like, we'll see what happens, man. But you guys are putting a lot of Oklahoma success on this guy, and I guess I just gotta wait and see. And I've seen enough now that I'm like, all right, I'm aboard the John Mateer train. I think he's going to be a really good quarterback this year.
Well, all three of mine are staying the same. Garrett Nussmeier one, Jeremiah Smith two, Lenora Sellers three. Don't think there's need to be any change there. But I also agree with you. This is where my swaps come in. So at number four, Josh thinks that he's only the John Mateer fan. I just wasn't saying much, but John Mateer for me, I like the way he plays, man. He plays with grit. He plays with just a heart. You can just tell he loves the game. And so I love him at four. I love what he's doing for Oklahoma's offense. It almost gives a spark for this offense that they have not had. And I think that gives them what they need. And then at five, I also got Sawyer Robertson. So we have the same
Okay.
guys.
The same
Um,
five, just in a slightly different
the only
order.
thing with Sawyer Robertson is that I'm a little worried is I'm interested to see what he does in some of these bigger games. Like SMU's, yeah, that was a tough game, but I think what happens when he faces some of these better defenses in the Big 12, and also if they make the playoff or however that would work. But again, I love what he's doing right now. So those are my five.
Yeah. We will get to see him play Arizona State September 20th. We'll get to see him play Kansas State October 4th. And we will get to see him play Utah on November 15th. I would guess those are going to be some of those teams that could stand to maybe be some of the guys that make his life a little more difficult.
Yeah.
But we've seen Baylor have some dominant offenses. We've seen them have some quarterbacks that can just absolutely sling it. So there's a precedent. Baylor seems to do really well with these guys. Uh, week three, Ben. We'll move on to there in some of the games here, and I think week three. We saw a couple upsets last week that we didn't see coming. There's some upsets this week that I'm seeing coming and that I'm willing to predict on the show. And we'll start with Clemson at Georgia Tech. Clemson, Ben, like I said, last week it wasn't pretty. You're down 16 to nothing to Troy. Cade Klubnik, who was my number one Heisman finalist preseason, is not looking impressive. Even in this one, still didn't get 200 yards, only two touchdowns through the air. Uh, Moving over more so to like what I've seen from Georgia Tech, though. Uh, People called them a dark horse. Uh, they did skate by Colorado 27 to 20. Uh, they come out against Gardner Webb last week up 59 to 12. The one thing about this game though is are we going to get a healthy Haynes King? He didn't play last week.
Yeah.
But when he did play against Colorado, he had 143 yards through the air, 156 on the ground and three touchdowns. Absolutely dynamic athlete. It just didn't work out at Texas A&M for whatever reason, but he's fitting right in as a dual
It's
threat
just
with Georgia Tech.
his injuries scare me though. The amount of times he
Yeah,
gets injured.
yeah. So trending to be able to play this week. It is at Georgia Tech too, so that's another thing. Clemson didn't get it done against LSU on their own field. They struggled against, like I said, Troy last week. If they can get Haynes King in this game, I'm willing to go ahead and say that Georgia Tech pulls off the upset.
Yeah, ooh, that's tough.
Clemson's
So
only a 3.5 point favorite in this
yeah,
one too.
um, Clemson has not showed me anything. I was so hyped about Clemson. I was like, they're back, and I
I
just feel
thought so, man.
like
But right now, these first two games, yeah,
no.
it's ugly, dude.
And I think that you can only, as what do they say, you can only walk on that wire so long before it snaps. And I think this is where it snaps. And I think Georgia Tech, I if Haynes Kings plays again, that's a big if. If he plays and as long as he's healthy-ish enough, I don't see them slowing down. He might be one of the fastest quarterbacks in the nation when it comes to speed. And I, I think Georgia Tech wins this game like 24-17. I just think the offense that Georgia Tech is running right now, when Haynes King is healthy, it's like this dude's willing to lay his body on the line. I mean, the dude had 100+ yards rushing. When a quarterback does that, that means they don't care if they get hit or not. That's how that usually explains it to me. And I just think Clemson, they haven't shown me anything to go, ooh, Clemson's the team to beat. They just haven't.
Yeah, yeah, and I'll go ahead and say 24-20 Georgia Tech in this one. I think that Clemson's offense just is it's sluggish right now, and we'll see what the defense does. They did well against LSU. They did well, I guess, against Troy, but yeah. Another team that, we got to put respect on here for upset alert. South Florida at Miami. South Florida's beaten Boise State, as we said, and they beat the Florida Gators this past week, but we're obviously both really high on Miami. Uh, just wanted to, dive into, how South Florida's been winning these games, Ben. Uh, Against Boise State, they were down 7-0 and then scored 34 straight in this one. And when you run through the box scores, they look like they get outplayed too. Like they're not really great on third down. They were 5 of 14 in that. They had 10 less first downs. They uh, only ran 117 yards in this game, but the one thing that worked in their favor was that they had 0 turnovers and Boise State had three. Going into the Florida game, I already talked about the penalties that Florida had. They were self-inflicted wounds there. 11 flags for 103 yards. Florida also had a turnover in this one. South Florida, no turnovers in this one. Running the ball, uh, again, it was pretty close there. Byron Brown has been pretty tough kid so far, but I'm not sure that Miami is going to be one of those teams that really, beats itself in this one. I'd be surprised if they did, and I'd be surprised if South Florida can get three ranked wins in a row. So I think the run might end right here. Obviously, really high on Miami, but yeah, I think Miami could maybe win by 20 if they play their game. Come out here with like a 38 to 20-ish win, but I think South Florida will play well. I just don't think Miami's going to play as bad as what some of South Florida's opponents have so far.
No, I agree with you, and I just don't think USF. I just don't think South Florida can. Again, I think there's a point where you end up swinging and missing, and I think it's really hard to do it three times in a row. Ohio State's about the only team I've seen do it. They did it like 4 or 5 games in a row. I just don't know if they have the firepower to do it, especially against this Miami speed and physicalness and the toughness. So for me, I just got Miami win this game like 30-17. I think Miami has that capability.
The other game that or team that I'm putting on upset alert this week and actually picking is South Carolina. They got
Ooh,
Vanderbilt, and we actually got a common opponent between these teams too. So you remember week one, South Carolina played Virginia Tech, and they won like 24-11. Sellers was all right in this one. Couple touchdowns, nothing crazy on the total yards or anything like that, and you still only won by 13 as an 8 point favorite. But Vanderbilt mopped the floor with Virginia Tech, Ben, 44-20,
yeah.
uh, and they dominated through the box score too. 490 yards to 248, 262 yards on the ground. They did have 11 penalties and two turnovers in this one too, and still were able to win this game by 24 points. Of course, going back to how South Carolina played in that game, uh, just reading a couple things here. And this one, South Carolina also had double the amount of penalties. They had just four more rushing yards in this one. They actually were outgained 336 to 328 total. Had three less first downs, only converted 4 of 12 third downs in this one. And then against SC State this last weekend, it was a similar thing where South Carolina only 3 of 12 third down conversions. Didn't run the ball that great, just 125 yards. Uh, had more penalties in this one. They did have no turnovers, but South Carolina is just looking a little sluggish offensively right now. And Vanderbilt, Diego Pavia is back, and he's hungry. I think that Vanderbilt, they're a 5 point underdog in this one, and they got to go to Williams-Brice Stadium, a hard place to play, or an underrated home environment at 7:45 at night. But I think Vandy can get it done. Actually, I don't think it'll be particularly high scoring. Maybe to the tune of like a 27 to 21. It could even be a field goal. But I'm going to go ahead and say, you know what, South Carolina. As much as I love Lenore Sellers, as much as I love Dylan Stewart, uh, there's other guys on the team that aren't carrying their weight right now, and I think Vanderbilt could catch them at this moment in time.
I might have to disagree with you. I think I just I think South Carolina.
Is this
Part
where
of
they
it,
like finally wake up, maybe?
I think, is where they wake up, but it's also like I still have that belief in Lenore Sellers, and I think this is the game maybe that he can kind of to take that extra step. They have to wake up here. I just don't see them losing to Vanderbilt. I just think they have still have that firepower that we've seen at times. I'm just hoping this is the game they put it all together. At the end of the day, I think South Carolina wins this game by at least a touchdown, at least.
Yeah, certainly not a game preseason that I would have seen them losing, but right now I'm just kind of like you got to prove it to me. You got to prove it to me this weekend, South Carolina. Uh, that's about as far as I guess all the upsets go. Maybe there's still some people in the swamp that are hopeful that the Gators can bounce back and maybe take advantage of an LSU team that hasn't looked all that impressive offensively yet, but still, it's a night game at Death Valley, arguably the hardest environment to
Yeah.
go and win at, especially when the LSU Tigers are playing as good a defense as they are right now. And we're still waiting to see Nussmeier, I guess, have his big game that I think, or I'm more confident in him showing that than what I am, I guess, with South Carolina doing that against Vanderbilt right now. But LSU is a 7.5 point favorite over here. I think that this is going to be, another game that Florida ends up dropping. But LSU is a team that I wouldn't have as much of a problem in losing to if we had not lost to South Florida before. And it's just going to be, again, these losses are going to start adding up.
Yeah, LSU's winning. I'm just going to say LSU's winning this game by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, they
I
could murder
I
them.
think LSU's going to win. I'm going to go.
If it's a Nussmeier like
I'm going
coming out game,
28-7.
yeah.
28-7 LSU.
Yeah, I'll go 28-14. I'll give Florida a little bit more, but man.
Man, it just must
Uh,
suck to be a Florida fan, man, and a Browns fan at the same time. Ugh.
and a Browns fan at the same time, you know it. Uh, let's see, we got the biggest game of the afternoon is probably going to be Georgia at Tennessee. It's a game that Tennessee uh, just hasn't been able to win lately. Georgia's had their number. But I guess what's interesting about this one, too, is that Tennessee, we didn't really know what they were going to look like with Aguilar at quarterback having to replace Nico Amaliava so close to, I guess, the season, right at the end of the spring portal, able to get this guy in. And all he's done is look better than what Nico has, even when Nico is at Tennessee.
Yeah,
But this is still Georgia, and Georgia has been looking really good on the ground. What lacked from last year's team wasn't so much so Carson Beck, although he did have, his turnovers and moments of failure too, but they couldn't run the ball last year. The offensive line wasn't opening up holes, the backs weren't talented, but at least so far against, it's been against Marshall and teams like that, Georgia's starting to look like the Georgia of old, at least at the line of scrimmage. They're running the ball very well. Uh, Tennessee themselves is also running the ball very well. Star Thomas has been pretty good. In his action. And they just hung 70 last week as an offense. But It's just a different animal going against Georgia. And one thing that we have seen from Tennessee in the past in games like this is the offense, it can move so fast, but it can wear the defense out too from being on the field so much. Just from a not necessarily from a lack of scoring, but it's just like, dang man, the defense is getting worn out here because you're scoring in like, 4 or 5 plays or something like that
Yeah.
so quickly and putting up 90-second drives. So does Tennessee have the defensive depth? Do they have, I guess, the talent at the line of scrimmage to match what Georgia's bringing this game? I'm not sure. I'm going to take Georgia on the road in this one. They're a 3.5 point favorite. I think they cover. Give me Georgia. Give me Georgia 34, 20, 34-24.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on this. I think Tennessee, they've looked good. They've looked really good, but it's
Better than I
Georgia.
thought.
And the thing is, I always choose against Georgia, and it always screws me over. So I'm, of course, going to choose Georgia this time. And I think Georgia's going to win. I just think they're going to just be able to do what Georgia does, and that's wear you down. And I think Georgia's going to win this game. I'm going to go 28-24 Georgia.
Last game on the agenda here, I got another big one for the evening. It's like, dang, dude, who are we going to watch? Are we going to watch South Carolina on upset alert? Are we going to watch Florida get crushed? Probably neither of those. Most people are probably going to be watching Texas A&M at Notre Dame. Notre Dame, of course, had that loss to Miami and then didn't have, they had a bye week too, which is really weird.
Yeah.
But I guess coming into this game, questions I got for the Irish. Is CJ Carr like that guy? He looked good against Miami. He looked confident. There were some moments, of course, where it looked like a first time starter,
Yeah.
but confident kid nevertheless. He's got another big game coming to play here, except this one will be on his home field. Second question for Notre Dame. Are you going to give Jeremiah Love the football? This is your most
Seriously.
powerful, talented weapon on offense, and you gave him 10 touches last time against Miami. Uh, Texas A&M, for the most part, has been I mean, Marcel Reed looks really good. This might be a guy that eventually gets on our Heisman watch list too if he keeps it up. He's got 509 yards through the air, 105 on the ground is their leading rusher, 8 total touchdowns too. Uh, and the other thing with Notre Dame, if they start off 0-2 here, they do have a pretty easy enough last 10 games of the season, but you're putting a lot of pressure on these guys to win 10 in a row. And you're probably going to need to do that since you're not in a conference to get in the playoffs.
Maybe this will be the year the conference bug finally gets them.
It could be. They could go 9-3. USC, we'll see if they can score this many points against, teams with a pulse. That's the only other team on their schedule that I could look at and be like, that could be a loss.
Yeah.
But yeah, a tough first 2 games to start the season for sure if you're the Irish, but you got to win this one right here. And I'm going to go ahead and say they do. I think it's going to be a little ugly though. Give me like I'm going to go with the 17-16 score we just saw from Cleveland, Cincinnati. Notre Dame pulls it off.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, I don't think they'll go over two, man. I just and I think they're going to figure out that hey, I should give Jeremiah Love the ball like 30 times a
They
game.
have to, right?
And I'm going to go with Notre Dame wins this game. I'm going to go 16 to 10. 16 to
16 to
10.
10 final.
That's what we go with.
All right, well, there you have it, guys. There's 6 games that we are going to be keeping an eye on this weekend, and then maybe there'll be somebody else that'll be, uh, on upset alert that we didn't see coming. But yeah, a lot of good games to be watching week 3.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, though, I know we've been talking a lot of football lately, Ben. I wanted to shed light on the wild card races going on in baseball right now
Oh, that the
because
Reds suck still? Yeah, that's cool.
you want to talk about the Reds sucking?
I mean,
Hey, I'll tell you what, right now we are like, what do we got? 20-ish games
yeah,
left in the
like
season.
19, I think it's like
Yeah.
19 or 18.
The American League wild card race right now, at the end of the day, we'd have New York, Boston, and Seattle. Then you got Texas 1 game back. You got Cleveland 2.5 games back. Just a few days ago, Kansas City also was 2 games back. They're 4 games back now. They just had a tough series against one of these teams. Tampa Bay was in the mix too, and now they're 4.5 back. But
The Reds were
Cleveland,
tied
man, they're
about 12 games ago, and now they're 4 games back.
yeah. Maybe it just hasn't updated on ESPN yet. It says they're 3, but Chicago, San Diego, and the Mets got the wild card for now. You would think that would be locked up for the most part, but San Francisco only 2 games back. Rafael Devers is starting to heat up with his bat. Cincinnati, can they get consistent enough? They're three back. Uh, yeah, we're getting really close over here. Really close over here. And then we got some like division races too. Like we just mentioned I mean, 3 games back, Boston and New York are behind Toronto. One of them could maybe sneak in there and take that division. Cleveland's 8.5 back of Detroit. I don't think they're going to take that. If they're going to get in the playoffs, it's going to have to be because they got in the
Yeah.
wild card. And then there's just 2 games separating the NL West. Houston's got the lead right now, but Seattle's 1 game behind them and Texas 2 behind them. The Texas Rangers, Ben, as we know, have so much potential at bat that just they've been so bad hitting the ball this year, and the
Yeah.
pitching's actually been what's been incredible. But can the bats come alive late? Can Cleveland's bats just even be average? They've been so awful most of the season. And then I guess can the Reds sneak in too as a wild card over here? We'll be looking at that. It hasn't totally been
Well, yeah. Ellie De La Cruz needs to start hitting the ball because he hasn't had a home run since like I think the end of July or the 1st of August.
really a
He's been
lack of power. Yeah,
he's
like
only got 19 home runs.
we've
It's
been impressed
wild.
by like I guess his batting average and the strikeouts going down a little bit, but the power has gone down.
Like he's in Cincinnati and he's got 19 home runs. Like he had I believe he had like 12 in the first month and a half and he's had like 7 since.
Yeah.
And also he leads the major leagues in errors with 30. So um and I don't know if okay, and I also don't know if it's all of him because he can make plays that most people can't, so he goes out and tries to make those plays because he can do it at 6'7".
Yeah. I think that definitely plays into it. The 19 home runs too, as crazy as it sounds, leads the Reds.
Don't even start. The Reds have no home runs, and yet this is the most hitter-friendly ballpark in baseball.
Yeah.
Like,
I was gonna counter that with telling you what Cleveland's home run totals are right now
and
because I
they,
don't think we hit that great either. But Jose Ramirez has hit 28, Kyle Manzaro's hit 25, and then our next best is Daniel Schneemann with 11.
yeah, it's just sad. It is sad.
Yeah.
But again, that is baseball, and it is that time of year.
Yeah. These division races are getting hot. The wild card race is getting hot.
Yeah. But yeah, that's going to be the show for today. I know we've kind of broke it up a little bit in the middle there, with some sad news, and I'm still kind of like shocked as we are going through the show. But our prayers do go out to the Kirk family. It's not easy, and again, I want to reiterate, like it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. It doesn't matter what you believe. Like this is always sad, and I just like to remind people: think of the 2 kids. Think about you being that age and now not having a dad for the rest of your life because some fool, and I'll just say it, some fool decided that he wanted to take things to the extreme. When if reality, all Charlie ever did was just sit there and debate people and talk to people to try to bring peace and closure to this country. And you can argue with me, and maybe he didn't always do it in the way that you liked, and that's okay. But it is sad. And so to finish the show, I just think that um, it's only right to really just one. I mean, I think what Charlie did. I mean, if any of you watched after the election happened, I mean, he was crying because of the work that he put in to help people understand politics and help people understand where he comes from. It's a guy from Chicago that has made a life for himself and to help others and being a follower of Christ and so it's hard and I don't know if you have anything else to add on that, Josh, but it's definitely not an easy thing to see through this time of life.
Yeah, I guess I can remember Charlie Kirk getting, I guess, his whole organization return point going around the time that we were in college. We
Yeah,
started
it
seeing
was. Yeah,
their booths pop up with the College Republicans,
yeah,
Oregon stuff. Just that was our first election that we could
yeah,
vote in, and I think when turning right around the time Turning Point started was around the time that Trump was running. So
yeah,
yeah, it's Charlie Kirk's been in, I guess, my whole entire politically aware life.
yeah.
I've heard
I mean,
a lot of
he's our
debates.
age, and he's our
Yeah,
age, and
yeah,
that's
31. Yeah,
And that's the crazy part to me is that like, um, and I think it makes you realize that that time matters. And I think that we take it for granted. I think so, and I think, we come on this show and we talk sports, and sports are great, and I love sports. I coach sports, but I think that we sometimes maybe forget about the time that we spend with our loved ones, and that that becomes reality when you see death. And I just pray that this can bring peace to to people, but I hope it doesn't divide people more. I hope this can bring people together. Um, yeah, I would encourage you not to get angry at people, but to just show love. I'm sure that's what Charlie would want. Um, yeah. Anything else you want to say before we finish up?
Nope.
Yeah, so we'll leave it there. Once again, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you love watching on YouTube, go click that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell. If you love listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, yeah, let us know how we're doing. About down below, I want you to comment what team is going to be upset this week. Choose a team, tell us why, and yeah, we'll talk about it next week. And until next time, we'll see you.